Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is Thursday, September 17th, and Hey Duke and I are here at school. Hi, Hey Duke. Can you speak? Bark. Yeah, good boy. Okay, so he says good morning too. I have had a whole bunch of questions about COVID 19 in the last few days and have not devoted a morning video to that in a while. So I want to talk about COVID 19 and how it's affecting us here in Arkansas this morning. In the last 7 days, we have had 4,325 new PCR tests that came back positive. We have had some antigen tests. That's kind of a new testing thing that we're just using here in Arkansas, so I'm not going to talk about that yet. But from the regular tests that we're used to hearing about, we've had 4,325 new COVID-19 cases. That is out of 47,460 total PCR tests given. So our positivity rate, and remember that's positive tests divided by total tests, is just over 9%. It's a little better than it has been. Remember that here in Arkansas, we struggled to get that average below 10% for quite a while. So it's just a little bit under 10%. Our governor has tried to get it under 10% because he said that that would make him feel better about reopening schools. The CDC, the National Centers for Disease Control, have suggested that that number be 5% or lower in order to reopen schools. But anyway, here we are, and we're trying to make ourselves as safe as possible. I am going to add the link in the Edpuzzle videos to the website where I get this information. I use this particular website because it's super handy. It gives me the information I want without having to dig through a bunch of other stuff. And the guy who does it uses really good references. He shows on his website, like, this is where I get my numbers, and they check out their really reputable sources. So that's what I use. It's arkansascovid19.info. So if you want to look at that too, they give up-to-date numbers every day. And where I just got the numbers I gave you was their numbers for the last 7 days totaled up. A lot of people have been asking in Edpuzzle video questions. How long is this going to last? How long are we going to have to be worried about this? How long until things get back to normal? And that is a question that we can't answer right now. I will say that that it depends a lot on how we handle the virus here in Arkansas and here in the United States. There are countries where COVID-19 is essentially unproblematic at this point. Here, clearly, it's still a very big deal. Different governments are handling this in different ways. For example, the government of New Zealand, when COVID first got there and people started getting sick, essentially shut everything down. For like 5 or 6 weeks, everybody stayed home. There was a lockdown order, and you might say, well, how did people still make money? How did people still pay their bills and feed their kids? Well, the government of New Zealand sent everybody money so that they could survive this period of closure, and everybody essentially quarantined themselves. So those few people who had COVID-19 kept it, didn't spread it. At this point, here are some numbers from New Zealand. Their total case count, like total positives in New Zealand, has been about 1,569. They have about 4.5 million people. So they have somewhat more people than the state of Arkansas does, but not a huge ton. It's a fairly small country. That works out to about wait. I guess I didn't figure that out. Arkansas, on the other hand, has had about 70,000 positive COVID cases for about 3 million people. So you can see that 1,500, 70,000, those are hugely different numbers, even though New Zealand doesn't even have twice the population that Arkansas does. Let's talk about mortality. Mortality means the number of people who have died because of COVID-19. In New Zealand, there have been 22 deaths in the last few months because of COVID-19. That works out for every million people, an average of 4 people have died from COVID-19. Here in Arkansas, we've got about 1,000 deaths right now and 3 million people. So again, this is a division problem. That's 333 people have died out of each million people in Arkansas. So you can see that those numbers are hugely different. It's not because their population is healthier than ours, though that may be the case to some extent. It's not because COVID-19 hasn't been as serious a virus as it has been here. It's the same virus everywhere, all over the world. But the way their society has handled COVID-19 has been very, very different from ours. Very quickly, I want to tell you another example of a country that's handled COVID-19 in a very different way. I don't have statistics for this because I didn't take time to look them up. But you might say, well, New Zealand is a wealthy country. It's definitely a first world country. They've got the money to do that, and other countries don't. Senegal, which is a country in Africa that is not a wealthy country by any means, has also trimmed their COVID-19 cases down to almost nothing. One of the things that they did is when somebody had to go into quarantine at the very beginning, they put them up in a hotel. They said, oh, you might have COVID-19. Here's a room by yourself away from everybody else, even your family. Here's some money to get you by. Stay there until we know if you have the illness or not. So in that same way, they handled it in a very different way than New Zealand did, but they also got their numbers down very, very quickly in Senegal. So again, it's not that COVID-19 is a different virus in Senegal. It's not because the Senegalese people are more healthy than the people in Arkansas. Though again, that may be the case, but that's not a huge, huge deal. It's because they, as a society, handled the way COVID-19 works and affected them in a much, much different way. So what are we doing differently? Well, we still have people who won't wear masks. We've done lots of stuff. Lots of people are staying home. Lots of workplaces have made a lot of adjustments in the way they work. Even school, right, feels much, much different and is much different for us this year than last. So it's not that we're doing nothing. We're doing a lot. But the way we work moving forward is going to affect really strongly how long the virus takes to go away here in Arkansas and how long it will be before we can get back to normal. A lot of people have asked questions about vaccines, which we'll address probably tomorrow because a lot of people have asked about it. I don't want to take time to do that this morning because our video is already about 8 minutes long. So we'll talk about vaccines tomorrow and how much they will help and when we can expect to get one. Those are unanswerable questions too, but just like the when will it go away question, even though we don't have April 1st, we don't have a super good number right now just because we've never dealt with this before with our society. We do have a lot of information that we can use to sort of extrapolate a decent answer to the question, or at least a hint or two. Hey dude, no! So anyway, that's some information to answer the question, when will this go away? When will it not be a problem yet? When will things feel back to normal? And the answer is just, it depends on us and it depends on our society and what we do to combat the spread of the virus. So wear your mask, people. I've still been seeing noses out. We had a video about this a day or two ago. If you wear a mask with your nose out, the air from you still comes out and hits other people and settles on surfaces around you. If you're not covering your nose with your mask, why are you even wearing a mask? So that's something that you and I can do really specifically when we're out around other people, if we're at school or the grocery or have to stop by to check on extended family or whatever. Wear a mask. That's the simplest thing that you and I can do to help. Wash your hands every time you get a chance. If you don't have soap and water, use hand sanitizer. Just be aware that the virus doesn't wander around on its own. It doesn't have little feet to go on its own and infect people. It has to be carried by us. And so what we do makes a huge difference in whether we spread the virus or not. So I hope you have a good day. The schedule is going to be weird today because of map testing, but hang in there. We'll get through it together, and I will talk to you this afternoon. See ya.